Now, do you think Pete Hegseth will get fired?
It's such an interesting question because by all rights he should.
Right.
He never should have been confirmed. And that's not like an ideological or partisan thing to say. He just was never actually qualified for the
in
position.
any way, yeah.
You've now got 4 top staffers who have left. One who wrote an op-ed for Politico saying, like, this guy has to go. The place is in chaos. I just saw news that the chief of staff is moving. So he should.
All right, folks, buckle up, because what Chris Hayes just dropped on Jimmy Kimmel's couch might be one of the sharpest takedowns of Trump world incompetence we've seen on late-night TV. Pete Hegseth, the Fox News talking head turned government official, is now at the center of a full-blown scandal involving leaked signal chats, total administrative dysfunction, and a growing chorus of insiders begging for his resignation. And Chris Hayes, he cut straight through the nonsense. He didn't mince words. He said Hegseth should never have been confirmed in the first place. Not for partisan reasons, but because the man simply wasn't qualified. Now you've got 4 top staffers who've already bailed, chaos behind the scenes, and even a sitting Republican congressman calling for Hegseth's head. But here's the kicker. Hayes explained how Trump's team has learned a twisted lesson from his first term. If you just keep everyone quiet, keep the MAGA tent zipped up tight, scandals blow over. No accountability, just survival. It's not governance. It's crisis management by denial. And this Hegseth debacle, it's proof that Trump's second-term style is loyalty first, qualifications last. Again.
Now, do you think Pete Hegseth will get fired?
It's such an interesting question because by all rights he should.
Right.
He never should have been confirmed. And that's not like an ideological or partisan thing to say. He just was never actually qualified for the
in
position.
any way, yeah.
You've now got 4 top staffers who have left. One who wrote an op-ed for Politico saying, like, this guy has to go. The place is in chaos. I just saw news that the chief of staff is moving. So he should. But the thing that Trump learned from the first term is, if no one inside the tent ever starts criticizing, you could kind of hold together this kind of 42% together, and then everything just sort of goes away if you stick it out long enough.
That's true.
And it's a pretty profound insight. So you've got one Republican member of Congress, Don Bacon from Nebraska, who's on the record saying the guy's got to be fired. But I think they've kind of learned this very perverse lesson, which is if no one else starts coming out, if you keep everyone together, you can kind of get through anything.
Let's talk about the Pete Hegseth disaster, because it's not just a scandal, it's a blueprint for how dysfunction survives in the MAGA machine. Chris Hayes laid it out plain and simple. Hegseth is unqualified, unhinged, and, by all traditional standards, unemployable. But in Trump's world, that's just called Tuesday. The real kicker, Trump knows the guy is a liability. Everyone around him knows it. Staff are quitting, chaos is the norm, and even Politico is running op-eds from insiders calling for Hegseth to go. And yet, he stays. Why? Because Trump has weaponized silence. Hayes calls it a perverse lesson from his first term, and he's right. If no one inside the tent starts yapping, the tent doesn't fall down. You can ignore the fire, so long as everyone pretends the smoke is just vibes. Only one GOP rep, Don Bacon, is willing to break rank. The rest, cowards playing the long game, terrified of the base turning on them. It's not about leadership anymore. It's about survival. And that, my friends, is how a party goes from governing to groveling.
The sense that Republicans, people who voted for Donald Trump, are starting to question their decision.
Yeah, I think the polling shows that. I think particularly people, I mean, the thing I think we know is if you think about sort of concentric circles of people who are the most kind of diehard MAGA folks in the center, and then as you move out, people who are just kind of like, I don't like how expensive things are. Let's try this guy.
I want to shake things up.
I want to shake things up. I think what we're seeing in the polling, and I think this is reflected in lots of conversations I've had with people that I know, that on the outer edge of that circle, the people that aren't the diehards are losing faith pretty quickly. The economy is not great. The guy has single-handedly taken an economy that was on a good trajectory and sent it spiraling. The tariffs are incredibly hard to defend. I don't think we're going to start growing like bananas and shade-grown coffee here.
I am. I'm actually growing my own bananas. I'm growing a lot of bananas in my house right now.
I think that's a good investment, though. You never know if the tariffs from one day to the next are going to stick around.
Listen, they're for personal use.
You got to be nimble.
I'm not worried about tariffs unless he decides to start tariffing my meals. But a lot of this is a result of what you write about in your book. I don't want to boil it down too much, but it's about the dangers of being distracted by social media and media the way in its current form.
As you can see, this is Trump's Russian economic roulette policy. Because seriously, the way this guy handles trade policy makes less sense than a TikTok algorithm on edibles. Chris Hayes nailed it with a joke that's funny because it's true. He said he's growing bananas in his house just in case Trump decides to slap a tariff on breakfast. And folks, that's not satire. That's how volatile things actually feel under this kind of economic mismanagement. One day it's steel, next day it's Canadian maple syrup. No rhyme, no reason. Just vibes, ego, and whatever gut instinct Trump woke up with after watching Foxy Friends. And while Trump world keeps spinning this as America first, let's be clear. These tariffs have hurt American farmers, raised consumer prices, and made international partners less likely to play ball. It's not economic strategy. It's economic strategy. It's economic cosplay, starring Trump as the tough guy negotiator who somehow keeps losing the chess game he thinks he's winning. So yeah, Hayes might be joking about dodging tariffs with a homegrown banana bunker, but behind the humor is a brutal truth. Trump's trade policies aren't just unpredictable, they're unstable. And it's regular people who pay the price.
I mean, I think the key argument of the book is that attention, what we do, where we put our mind's focus from moment to moment, is the most valuable resource we have as individuals, and now the most valuable resource for corporations in public discourse. And I think that the companies that have figured that out and are constantly trying to extract our attention from us, the President of the United States, who I think has a better insight into this than almost any figure in public life, have figured out that if you can grab people's attention, sometimes even seemingly against their will, and collect it, it's very, very, very valuable commodity. And part of the weirdness of living in this age is this feeling of the attention constantly being kind of pulled from you against your will. I think people feel that way about the President of the United States. Mm-hmm. They feel that way about the phones in front of them, this sense of kind of constant interruption. Where do I actually want to focus myself? And then when all the interruptions are gone, that weird feeling of like, oh, now I'm bored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Like, shoot, I left my phone in the car. Now I got to sit here for 2 minutes and wait online for coffee.
The cracks in the MAGA foundation are starting to show, and Chris Hayes brought the receipts. Look, Trump's diehards. They're not going anywhere. These are the folks who'd follow him into a volcano if he promised to drain the lava. But what Hayes zooms in on, and what the polling is beginning to reflect, is the outer ring of Trump's base. The people who voted for him not because they were wearing red hats in 2016, but because they were fed up, broke, and wanted something, to shake up the system. Spoiler alert, they got the shake up. But not the solutions. Now inflation's still a problem. Wages are stagnant, and all those promises about better trade deals and winning so much we'd be tired of winning. Yeah, those folks are tired, all right, but not from winning. They're tired of the drama, the chaos, and the fact that nothing ever seems to get better, and that fatigue, it's growing. You can see it in the numbers, in the town halls, in the fact that even Fox News viewers are starting to squint when Trump blames everyone but himself for the mess. Trump's grip may still be strong, but it's not unbreakable. The MAGA empire, it's got hairline fractures. And once those outer layers start crumbling, the whole thing gets shaky fast. That's it for today's breakdown. If you made it this far, thank you for watching and hanging out with me. Whether you're rage, laughing over Trump's tariff circus, or shaking your head at the Hegseth meltdown, I appreciate you being part of this community that actually cares about what's happening behind the headlines. If you got something out of this, hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, smash that subscribe button. We're just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Until next time, stay sharp, stay loud, and stay politically caffeinated.